Asked, do you have to let it linger? And in the case of Kevin Durant, apparently the answer is yes. We're almost a week removed from one of the best hoopers on the planet saying that he wants out of Brooklyn. A move that promises a huge haul for the Nets, but alas, still he sits. Why? Adrian Wojnarowski, as we say hello to our senior NBA insider, Adrian Wojnarowski. The longer each passing day, Woj, I can already hear all of us gas bags on the media pondering this question. Is there a scenario where Durant would go back to Brooklyn?
I think we're a ways away from that possibility. It's only been a week since Kevin Durant asked for that trade. And in that week, you had a holiday weekend, which slows down talks. I think Kevin Durant, Sean Marks, the Nets GM, is headed to Summer League where, he'll be face-to-face with all the other executives in the league. And you can put deals together, I think, a little bit easier when people have more face time, chance to sit down and talk. And many of the scenarios are complicated 3- and 4-team deals. History will show you that a deal for someone of Kevin Durant's caliber, it doesn't typically come together in a week. Now, we get past Summer League and we get through the next couple weeks and you sort of get into the dead of summer. Certainly that might be a question, but the Nets have remained motivated to find a deal. They're certainly talking with a number of teams. And Kevin Durant hasn't given Brooklyn any indication that he wants to rescind that trade request. So I think there's going to be certainly weeks left in this process, unless, of course, Brooklyn is able to find a deal here in the next, week to 10 days, 2 weeks, when the whole league is together in Vegas. Their asking price remains really steep. They want a historic level haul for Kevin Durant. And I think they're certainly willing to wait as that develops in the marketplace.
As they should, right? There's no precedent, no blueprint for something like this. KD, one of 2 players in NBA history to win 4 scoring titles and multiple finals MVPs. The other was Michael Jordan, and he wasn't getting traded anywhere. Adrian Wojnarowski joining us here. The Pelicans are done locking up their man, Zion Williamson, last week, agreeing to a 5-year max rookie extension for $193 million. And that number jumps up if he makes an all-NBA team or wins MVP or Defensive Player of the Year. You see him signing his contract in front of some kids from the local YMCA. A celebratory mood, not just for the money, because Zion turns 22 today and spoke just a little bit ago about staying in New Orleans.
On my birthday last year is when I found out I broke my foot. And I was out the whole year. It was a tough year. And then for the Pelicans to come give me this birthday gift, I'm not going to let them down. I'm not going to let the city down. I'm not going to let my family down. And most of all, I'm not going to let myself down. So just thank you.
He is a fantastic player, and we know that. But when he talks about letting the team down, he hasn't been on the court. He's played 85 games since they drafted him in 2019. But he's certainly a prolific scorer when he's there, right? Since the merger, only Jordan has put up more points through his first 85 games than Zion. The former Duke star standing at nearly 2,200 points already. Incredible.
Earlier today, the Timberwolves officially announcing the Rudy Gobert trade from the Jazz. Minnesota trading away 4 players, including Patrick Beverley, Malik Beasley, and the draft rights to center Walker Kessler. 4 first-rounders and a 2026 first-round pick swap. Translation, Minnesota would have given up Lake Minnetonka for the 3-time Defensive Player of the Year.
We're going to be very unique. I don't think there's going to be another team that is going to be able to bring to the table what we're going to bring to the table. And my goal is really to, make Carl even a better player on both ends and make his life easier and allow him to be even better than he already is. And I think his presence is going to do the same for me. Just a very unique core of young guys and a really good coach that complains about my screens all the time. So now we're on the same side, so I'm excited.
Okay, that is the Minnesota side. NBA front office insider Bobby Marks joining us. So let's go to the Utah side. Bobby, 5 players, 4 first-rounders in this trade. How do you see this playing out between the Jazz and their 3-time All-Star Donovan Mitchell?
Yeah, Kevin, they've made it known that Mitchell is going to be part of this retooling process here in Utah. But the reality is when Donovan Mitchell signed that rookie max extension back in 2020, that Utah team looked awfully different, right? That was a team that contended for a playoff spot. They finished the year with the best record. Gobert is gone, Royce O'Neal is gone, so there's 3 starters left here, and I think it'll be interesting how this plays out. He's got 4 years left on his contract, a player option for that 4th year, and he's either has to embrace the rebuild or there will be a time where he'll have to look elsewhere.
All right, last season, by the way, Mitchell averaged nearly 26 points and 5 dimes a game. Summer League is underway there, Bobby. And what a performance last night by the number 2 overall pick, Chet Holmgren. It is making waves, and we won some sports. We get to see him immediately. Holmgren with his Summer League debut with the Thunder. Kofi Cockburn bodying his way down low for a layup. Gets blocked by Holmgren. This is what he can do. Cockburn nearly 100 pounds heavier, but Holmgren winning the battle. Then Taco Fall. He blocks Taco Fall. Are you kidding me? 7'6" Taco Fall. Access denied. Then, less than a minute later, James Palmer Jr. tries the fadeaway. Again, you see Chet's length right there. Nice no-look there, down on the break. And then Holmgren, little dribble move, and he would drop a 3. How about the first player in Summer League history to have 6 blocks and 4 threes? KD also giving him a shout-out. The Thunder winning 98-77. Holmgren, 23 points in this one in 24 minutes. Okay, we know it's Summer League. So just we're making sure everybody, we know it's Summer League. But who does Holmgren remind you of in that first game?
Well, first, one of the least favorite things I like to do is heap praise on young players in Summer League, right? I don't like watching the games. I don't like writing comments down, but Kevin, I'm watching last night, and I wrote two things down, Dirk and KD. That's what it reminded me of. You can't teach skill, and that fadeaway 1 foot back, fadeaway jump shot reminded me of Dirk Nowitzki last night, and certainly the range of Kevin Durant, the length that he displayed last night. What we saw last night was special. It's only one game, so everybody should relax, but I mean, if what we see last night is going to translate to the next level when we see real NBA competition, Oklahoma City has a special player there. You
see, of course, the range and how long he is, again, to KD, wearing that Oklahoma City uniform, also wearing the KD 7s. Durant giving him a shout-out on social media. It's just exciting. It is Summer League, though, Bobby. Trust me, we're putting the break down. Thank you. El?
He reports Kevin Durant wants to be traded away from the Brooklyn Nets.
There was a sense of inevitability, I think, around the Nets and around Kevin Durant that this day was coming.
I think it's about time that Kevin Durant severed ties with Kyrie Irving as teammates.
There's going to be a trade, and it's just a matter of where he winds up.
If Kevin Durant is on the first train out, Kyrie Irving will be on the caboose as far as the Nets are concerned.
I think it's very likely that not only Kevin Durant, but Kyrie Irving have played their last games for the Nets.
Keyshawn, J. Will Max, always going hard, presented by Progressive Insurance and ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80, as well as ESPN2. He's Jay Williams. I'm Freddie Coleman. And you posed this question to me about 30 minutes ago, not even 30 minutes ago, about 15 minutes ago, in terms of Kevin Durant. And yeah, he's going to be concerned about his legacy. The more that somebody says, I don't worry about that, they're really worried about that. If they're saying, I'm not trying to be this, they're about to be that when it comes to Kevin Durant. But you mentioned the point in terms of with his legacy and going from one place to another place and needing to make Brooklyn his own and having a trade demand wanting out of Brooklyn. And that concerns you when it comes to Kevin Durant, even though it does not concern me in terms of leadership.
It doesn't concern me. It's just a matter of where are you deciding to put your feet down? And maybe this is not for you. Maybe there isn't one location where you're deciding to say, this is mine.
Okay.
And granted, look, this is going to sound, I'm used to players doing that, wanting to say, this is mine.
Right.
Like, I'm going to build this out. And maybe it's just that the overall legacy of KD and Kyrie is that they're mercenaries. They're hired assassins. They go to different locations. They win chips, whatever it is. But, there's certain things. When I think about Kobe Bryant, I think about L.A. When I think about Larry Bird, I think about Boston.
Sure.
When I think about, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, I think about L.A. Like, there's certain
no doubt
pieces, like players that are just synonymous with the towns or the franchises that they built. That you see and I'm just wondering for KD if that will happen now at 33 years old in his career.
Here's why.
It doesn't need to happen.
It doesn't
just
need
things
to.
that you're curious about.
Here's why I hear where you're coming from. And I'm going to use a 21st century mindset when it comes to this. This is what happens when people try to follow a template of somebody else. And that guy's LeBron James. Because look what LeBron did. LeBron let it be known that you can go to different places and win championships and have that as a part of your legacy without people putting you in that box. It is a total 21st century way when it comes to professional athletes, not NFL, because it seems that if you're a quarterback, we're going to think of Patrick Mahomes with Kansas City, Aaron Rodgers with Green Bay. Even though Tom Brady's in Tampa Bay, we're still going to regard him as a Patriot player, as a Patriot organizational member. In the NBA, that's more of a players' league. LeBron let it be known that, hey, we control things. So it didn't matter to him that, hey, Cleveland wasn't working out anymore, couldn't win a championship here, I'm going to go to Miami. And then he went back to Cleveland because he felt he had a chance to go to college, and now he's ready to take a real job and bring a championship
But came
there.
through and won them their first championship in franchise history.
And that's the difference. He was able to come through after the first time in Cleveland, and he made each stop his own. He went to Dwayne Wade's team and made that his own Miami.
But you feel like Cleveland is his.
Cleveland is his.
Just
that's
spent
fair.
A long period of his career in Cleveland, born in Akron.
Right.
Went back to
true.
Cleveland, won a championship. I still feel like that's
fair.
his.
Right. LA is never going to be his. He's part of the lineage.
Agreed. Yeah.
It's always going to be Kobe's, always going to be Magic's, always going to be Shaq's, always going to be Kareem's,
1,000%. Cleveland is his.
Right.
So that's my question with KD. Like, OKC, but I get it, but I guess it's his to a degree.
But the thing that bothers me when people try to throw that Kevin Durant, and I hate to call his name Charles Barkley, who I respect a lot, but Charles Barkley putting that out there about being a bus driver and all that thing with Kevin Durant, that you got to be the bus driver. Well, Charles Barkley, when things were working out in Philadelphia, moved on to Phoenix. When Kevin Johnson was there, Dan Marley, all those dudes got them to the NBA Finals. And I guarantee you had thrown that kind of conversation about being a bus driver the way he threw that at Kevin Durant, it would have been an issue.
A lot of it is what it sees, right? It's what people perceive. Like, perception is different than what reality is. So a lot of perception that's been built around these two is that KD always defers. And what lends people to that perception is when there are these things that sometimes other players might have openly stated, hey, we don't rock like that. Kevin Durant has not said anything publicly about how Kyrie has handled some things. So people, I think, have mistaken his silence for him deferring, when I know that's not the case behind the scenes.
Well, whatever that is, and that's not to say that you're not making a cogent point, because you are. But I've always been a big believer, it's not so much what the player brings to the situation or the celebrity brings to the situation, it's what you bring to it. No matter what he does, people are never going to forgive Kevin Durant.
Never.
And you made this point off air about 15 minutes ago. They're never going to forgive Kevin Durant, and I'm with you on this one, for leaving to go to Golden State.
They can't get over it. Can't get over it.
He can win championship after championship after championship. He could cure cancer.
Well, that's my thing.
And no one's going to give him a pass.
Well, no one will ever give him a pass in Golden State. But if he won one, considering all the chaos, and stuck his feet in Brooklyn, I think there will be a lot more. And he doesn't need this. I'm not saying Kevin needs this to validate his own greatness to himself, but there is a sense from others that they will respect him more.
You think so?
If he built something of his own. Even if he navigated Kyrie differently. Now, if he were to leave and then go to Rip City, he may win championships, may still be considered one of the greatest of all time. I will see it that way. But there will be other.
I think you're in the minority because people still never.
That's what I'm saying. A lot of people will see it that way. Well, you had to go to somebody else's team where they established the culture because you couldn't do that on your own. To me, as a hooper, that doesn't minimize his greatness
Not to me either.
But I'm in the deep end of the basketball world, right? And that's not a lot of people.
You want more for Kevin Durant than other people want more for him because you know exactly what kind of situation he's dealing with the Brooklyn Nets.
It's the same with any athlete because I know people on the outside look at it.
Right, and I get that. And that's bringing a different perspective. And you're exactly right, Jay, to bring that kind of perspective. I said the same thing last week on First Take that Russell Westbrook, for all the criticism that he gets, he's the kind of draft pick that you should always want because he was able to override himself. People never thought this guy was going to be an MVP.
I'll give you another one. Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson, right? Like, think the whole narrative that, I mean, he wasn't really, look when he drops back and he throws the ball 40 or 50 times. Look how all the numbers go down and the analytics. And they were a run-first team and with Marshawn Lynch, and their defense was what got them there. The Legion of Boom, like all this stuff.
True.
And it's true, right? But it's all of a sudden like it's used like, well, even though he came off an injury last year, well, he's not he's not a top 10 quarterback. I'm like, whoa, wait a second.
At one point he was. Right now, I don't think so.
Okay.
But at one point he was. At one point
it feels
he
like
played
there's
in the league.
something for him to prove now in the AFC West in Denver with things
no
being
doubt.
reloaded, right?
Especially in that division.
So, like, I feel like for somebody who's done it at a very, very high level,
True.
like you go through these lows where people all of a sudden start disrespecting you, like you can't do it on your own, and that's what I hate. That's what I hate.
Well, if you hate it, I can only imagine how much he can't stand it.
Oh.
And it's one thing if the average Joe and Josephine throws that at Kevin Durant, he can put them in a place that you haven't been in my shoes. You haven't been in this situation. But when your peers from the past says it, that drives him nuts. I'm not trying to speak for him because I know how I would feel. I would say, wait, man, when you had your chance to do your thing, why don't you let me do my thing the way I want to do it and how I want to go about it? But as long as that perception is out there, he's never going to win in that court, and he knows that more than anybody else in my opinion.
And here's the biggest challenge, I think, for Kevin Durant, and it's a challenge for, I think, a lot of athletes or anybody in the public eye. We all go through maturation processes, right? Like I talk to my wife about this all the time. Like there are a lot of things that she goes through that are not in the public eye, and it allows her to deal with it privately where people don't see the mistakes that are made or how difficult it is to navigate, do I do this or do I do that? And for other people, publicly, when you have to make these decisions, especially for, I think for KD, who, I mean, he's got into spats with different media members. You've seen the way he handles conflict, right? You wonder, okay, if there's conflict here internally with something that you're trying to build, we all know the process it takes to build something of your own. But how do you handle that? And we're watching it in real time as he matures through the process.
And we're watching it because he's dealing with a mercurial person known as Kyrie Irving. Somebody that he signed up with. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. You better be careful what you wish for because you sign with a guy like that. As my dad told me a long time ago, some people just like fire. You can't get too close. But now he can't have any choice. He's made his choice that he wants to try to do this either with Kyrie or without Kyrie based on his trade demands. How going forward the Brooklyn Nets going to handle this is going to be very interesting, but also more important, how Kevin Durant's going to handle this.
I also think what Kyrie, I mean, I know it's his money, but I also think what Kyrie does talks about Kevin Durant too.
We
and
shall
his
see.
relationship.
Yeah, this is page 1 of that. And they're probably at page 30 when it comes to that. Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max with Jay Williams and Freddie Coleman, presented by Progressive Insurance. Are we seeing the beginning of the end of the NCAA? And how much of that could affect Jay Williams and his basketball team known as Duke?
What?
This is ESPN Radio.